Okay, so most of us with an office job from the before times are approaching a year working from home, working remotely, obviously, with the pandemic still going on, and fingers crossed that gets cleared up pretty soon here. But even when things start approaching back to normal, whatever normal looks like after the word. It seems that a lot of companies and a lot of roles have transitioned to basically making remote work a permanent fixture. And even if people returning to the office becomes regular again, I actually don't think it'll be very common for anyone in tech or in any office job that can be done remotely as it has been done for the past year will ever truly go back to a full-time every day commute into an office type situation. Of course, saying that, I recognize that it is from a place of privilege to be able to do so and not have to commute as many people have still commuted into their day jobs since the pandemic started. But if you find yourself in that camp that is permanently working from home from now on, or if you find yourself somewhere in between where you're splitting time working from home and the office, it's going to be time to consider more permanent fixtures to make your home office feel much more rounded. Hey, Danny with the DMGT here, where we talk about music, games, and of course, technology. At the very beginning of the pandemic lockdowns and quarantining, I actually did write a blog post on some essentials that I thought people could use as far as tips for your home office. Basic things like a monitor, a chair to invest in, and a working space. But keeping things as tight as possible and sort of more of a bare minimum situation to kind of get you through what has now turned into a year plus. And obviously, as the year has gone by and things and approaches have started to change going forward into the future, I think it's time to revisit this topic with a much more permanent idea in mind. Of course, some stuff is still going to be very consistent to what I recommended then, but let's get right into it. A monitor, a decent sized monitor. Now, you don't have to go all out for a super fancy HDR 4K monitor with 120 refresh rate and G-Sync, the whole 9 yards. If you want to, you can, and that's obviously going to change depending on your job and your day-to-day needs from your home office or your computer setup. But having at least a 21-inch monitor really starts giving you the real estate to start feeling like you're in a proper work setting. I personally do use a 4K monitor, not the setup right behind me, that's actually my gaming station, but I really do use that additional real estate that resolution gives me, especially since I have two laptops on my working station, my work ThinkPad that I run in clamshell mode, and my MacBook Pro, which I use for all the content creation for the DMGT. It sounds pretty simple, but honestly, a monitor, that's the first thing you should be doing. If you don't have one yet, this deep into quarantine, it's time to get one. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, you kind of have a wide variety of options depending on your needs. If it's going to be strictly a work monitor, then truly get the cheapest option possible. Don't spend an arm and a leg if you don't need it. But since I imagine a lot of people are having multi-purpose uses for their workstation at home, then it might make sense to invest in something a little bit different, such as a 1440p monitor, something with higher refresh rate, or even a 4K HDR, depending on your needs. Now, as far as audio goes, I know that most of us can truly get away with the standard wired Apple headphones or whatever pair of headphones that you have connected to your computer. It gets the job done, especially if you're just doing phone calls, and that's all you really need. But if you're looking to upgrade that experience and maybe get a little bit more convenience for yourself and for your peers at work, headset options are plentiful. You can go strictly work with a work type headset like a Jabra. You can get a wired headset. You can repurpose a gaming headset if you so want, or you can even upgrade to wireless earbuds such as the AirPods Pro or the Jabra 85Ts. However, again, with the intention that you are using this for work as well, I do recommend doing a little bit of research on the quality of the microphones, especially the call quality, because that can be a little bit different versus recording directly into something like Audacity or GarageBand on your computer. Again, just like the monitor situation, it can be as flexible or as simple as you need it, but definitely upgrading your audio situation is going to be massive, especially if you're going to be working from home much more frequently. I do want to say that there's a little bit of a trade-off depending on your setup. For example, I use this recording microphone that I use for these videos and for the podcast for work, and have audio go out to my passive clip bookshelf speakers. Of course, doing hobbyist music production and video content creation, I already had a lot of this set up, so it just kind of made sense to just go ahead and use that. But with this setup, I don't really get the flexibility to kind of get up and move around as freely as I would want to. Go re-up on a cup of coffee, but still be listening to a meeting that I'm in. And sure, I do have other headphones and wireless setups that can allow me to do that, but if I'm already set up, then it doesn't really make sense to change a bunch of settings just so I can quickly move around. On the other hand, because you're at home, you do have the flexibility of having TV on in the background for some white noise, having a music speaker on the side if you're just powering through some emails, and you don't have to deal with as much fatigue by keeping your headset on for long periods of time. So those are trade-offs that you have to consider. Now, for this final big ticket item before we get to some quality of life accessories that I want to recommend, it's going to be the age-old question of getting a laptop or a personal computer, aka a desktop. Now, you've probably been using your work-issued laptop to do everything for the last year, and restrictions and security might have been a little bit different, especially since people are home and you're checking your personal email, your Twitter feed, whatever it is. But I really don't recommend unbanking a device that technically doesn't really belong to you as your primary source of computing. Again, third time's a charm. Just like everything else, it's going to vary by your need and what your uses are going to be at home. But I would actually kind of argue to go with the desktop machine. Even if you're not a gamer, the added flexibility of having a desktop over a laptop, you can expand your storage. Hard drives for desktops are definitely a little bit cheaper. And if you're doing anything beyond just calls and emails, then that extra power behind a desktop CPU is going to make a big difference. And I'm not just talking about visual creation. If you're a financial analyst or someone that just lives and breathes in Excel, that extra computing power from a CPU is going to be super helpful. If you're a developer, obviously that's going to be very helpful as well. And yes, of course, if you're a video creator or a gamer, then the desktop might be the way to go, so you have kind of everything packaged in one spot. Either way, you're likely going to change your job at some point, so having something that's yours and you don't have to worry about setting up and sending back, it's going to be a little bit of peace of mind. Otherwise, laptop options are aplenty. You can go with something as simple as a Chromebook, get a MacBook, or something a little bit more in between. All right, quality of life things. Standing desk and a chair. Now, these are things that you absolutely don't have to get, but again, quality of life improvements. A standing desk is going to give you that flexibility to kind of get up and not be sitting down all the time. You can obviously do that by just getting up and walking around your home or going for a walk or anything like that, but if you're staying at your workstation, there's that little bit of extra flexibility to kind of stretch your legs out a little bit. There are cheaper alternatives as well. You don't have to get an entirely new desk. There are contraptions that you can add on top of your existing desk and kind of rise your whole setup, or you can actually go in and invest on an actual standing desk. And a chair. I know that this can be a little bit of a bigger ticket item as well, but do all the ergonomic things. But you don't have to go all gimmicky gamer chair for your seating situation. A used Herman Miller, or even some IKEA options that provide some strong lumbar support and are breathable. I truly do believe that it's an investment like your mattress. You're going to be sitting in it for a long time, so might as well get something that's going to last you for a long time, even if it's a little bit pricey at the front. As far as some smaller items go, a monitor arm actually clears up a ton more desk space than I had anticipated. I didn't actually get monitor arms for my setup until around midway through 2020, but that additional real estate on my desk to take notes, leave a notebook, have our coffee, and not have to be cluttered as much has made a pretty big difference. Again, it's more of a convenience thing than anything else, but again, like I said, this is a quality of life improvement that you don't have to break the bank on. Another accessory that has been super helpful that goes on my desk as well is a small power outlet bank that clamps onto your desk. It's super convenient to have an outlet at arm's reach. I have one with USB inputs as well, so I have constant running power without having to run things through my computer, but that's been super convenient for me. Of course, don't do everything at once if you can't, but other things such as a keyboard, a mouse, something that's a little bit more ergonomic to your needs if that's what you're looking for. Maybe a 2-in-1 or even 3-in-1 wireless charging station for your phone, your watch, and maybe your headphones as well. If you have multiple headphones like I do, a headphone stand and headphone holder goes a long way to declutter your desk while making it look a little bit more presentable. Some extra lighting from a sun lamp or a ring light if you so choose, especially if you're on video calls a lot. Add some things that that make your desk feel like you. Some figurines, a plant, a digital photo frame, or just a regular photo. I would say treat your home desk and your home office even better than you would your work situation. And one final thing, I would also definitely recommend some fidget or de-stress device for sure as well. I keep a baseball handy. It helps when I'm stressed out or if I'm just, fidgeting around. It's weird times. We all gotta stop pretending like we can be performing at normal capacity. Do stuff. Do things that are gonna help you. Anyways, I'll share links in the description below for any setup and things that I have, as well as any other options and cheaper alternatives as well. If you found any of this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. But if you liked it, consider subscribing, and I'll catch you next time.